Taiwan Semiconductors manufacture the microchips which power AI infrastructure in the modern world today. From iPhones, MacBooks, Teslas, Nvidia's AI servers, Amazon's data centers, fighter jets, and even satellites. And they make the microchips for Nvidia's GPUs, which are used for AI training, including for ChatGPT, for Google Cloud AI. And Meta also use TSMC chips for their AI data centers as well. They're also used by Sony for their Xperia phones and PlayStations. And these chips are also used by automakers like Toyota, BMW, Mercedes-Benz and Volkswagen as well. And while Tesla use TSMC chips for their vehicles, Taiwan Semiconductor's chips are also critical for the aerospace and defense sectors as well. The US military uses TSMC made chips for their defense systems. SpaceX, NASA and Rocket Lab all also rely on TSMC to manufacture advanced chips that power their rockets, satellites and spacecraft systems too. And so semiconductors have become the backbone of modern technology, and no one matches TSMC's combination of scale, precision and reliability as well. Like I was saying, they are supplying microchips to these companies and they're providing the critical infrastructure for AI today. And so with that, a single disruption to their manufacturing process could effectively cripple the AI industry. We can see the share price here that's risen quite a fair amount over the last 6 months, what with the AI boom that we're experiencing. At the same time, when we look at TSMC's price to earnings ratio right here, which is around 24, and on top of that, we can see right here that they have a dividend yield of 1.3% also right here. And so the major question is really around, why is it that this company that's critical for the infrastructure of AI is trading at such a reasonable price? And it's all to do with the location. You can see right here that its location in Taiwan makes it sensitive to geopolitical risk. It's well documented that Warren Buffett held TSMC and sold it actually relatively quickly after re-evaluating the acquisition. But there's a caveat with this that I'm going to go into right now, and that is the development of partnerships with a number of governments and TSMC, which is giving them the opportunity to expand their operations, their manufacturing facilities outside of just Taiwan and moving into the US, moving into Europe and moving into Japan. You can see right here it states Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, TSMC, would invest an additional $100 billion to expand its advanced semiconductor manufacturing operations in Arizona. This money will be put toward 3 new fabrication plants or fabs, 2 advanced packaging facilities, and a major research and design R&D center. TSMC touted this as the largest single foreign direct investment in US history, bringing its total investment to $165 billion and doubling its planned manufacturing plants from 3 to 6. In 2022, President Joe Biden signed a new law, the CHIPS and Science Act, which was intended to incentivize companies to build fabs in the United States. TSMC received $6.6 billion in direct funding and $5 billion in low-cost loans through the CHIPS Act to build a foundry in Arizona. Trump claimed that the TSMC investment, along with investments planned by Samsung and others, could bring the United States to 40% of the global chip-making market. But even with the expansion, it seems likely that TSMC will continue to produce the majority of the most advanced chips in Taiwan in the near term. And in Europe, Taiwan Semiconductors Manufacturing Company, the world's biggest semiconductor chip maker, broke ground in early August on its first facility in Europe, an $11 billion fabrication plant in Dresden, Germany. TSMC holds a 70% stake in the venture. The chip factory is part of the company's long-term strategy to diversify beyond its base in Taiwan. The main focus of the factory, which is stated to launch operations in 2027, will be to supply the continent's automotive industry. The new European venture also represents something of an insurance policy for TSMC. Taiwan is viewed by China as a breakaway province, and Beijing often strongly reiterates its long-term desire to bring the self-governing island back under the control of the mainland, with potentially serious consequences for Taiwan's chip production. And you can see right here, Commission approves €5 billion German state aid measure to support ESMC in setting up a new semiconductor manufacturing facility. The EU Commission has approved, under EU state aid rules, a €5 billion German measure to support European Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, ESMC, in the construction and operation of a microchip manufacturing plant in Dresden. ESMC is a joint venture between Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, TSMC, Bosch, Infineon, and NXP. The measure will strengthen Europe's security of supply, resilience, and digital sovereignty in semiconductor technologies, in line with objectives set out in the European Chips Act communication. And TSMC haven't stopped there. They're also looking to expand into Japan as well. You can see right here it states TSMC, Sony Semiconductor Solutions Corporation, Denso, and Toyota Motor Corporation today announced further investment into Japan Advanced Semiconductor Manufacturing (brackets JASM). TSMC's majority-owned manufacturing subsidiary in Kunamoto Prefecture, Japan, to build a second fab, which is scheduled to begin operation by the end of 2027 calendar year. Nikkei reported that after directly subsidizing TSMC's first fab in Kunamoto by up to 476 billion Japanese yen, the Japanese government today announced that it would subsidize the second fab by a further 732 billion Japanese yen for a total of about 1.2 trillion Japanese yen, about $8 billion. That translates into a government direct subsidy percentage of 40%, as TSMC has invested more than $20 billion US in constructing its first and second wafer fabs in Kunamoto. Fundamentally, TSMC aren't just a company. Their chips have become critical to AI and to building this technology infrastructure, if you like. You know, whether it's the A17 Pro chip that you find in Apple iPhones, the A100 and H100 chips that Nvidia manufacture that can be used to run AI like ChatGPT. They're critical to Tesla's self-driving cars. They're used to power rockets and satellites for SpaceX and Starlink, and TSMC chips are also used by Rocket Labs and Jeff Bezos's Blue Origin as well. And TSMC are the market leaders in manufacturing these microchips. You know, they're cutting edge, they're ahead of everyone else, and they're in this process of expansion at the moment, which we haven't yet seen been priced into the market. They've diversified themselves as well by expanding into new territories, like I mentioned in this video, you know, Europe, the fab in Arizona at the moment, and in Japan as well. And they've effectively created this almost unbreakable moat, you know, with these public-private partnerships. And because they're so ahead of their time, it's very, very hard for competitors like Samsung to actually catch up to where they are at the moment, especially with the fact that they've just benefited from billions and billions of dollars of subsidies from different governments as well in order to build these fabs, which strengthen them moving forward so that they're no longer just based in Taiwan. And like I said, you know, looking at the price at the moment, price to earnings ratio is very, very reasonable for an AI company. And what I really like about this is the dividend as well. You know, one opportunity or one way to look at this is potentially to kind of cost average in at the frequency of your choice. You know, you could do this daily, for example, and reinvest any dividends as well, with view of knowing that in 2027 is when we're going to see this expansion come into fruition, if you like. That's when the fabs are anticipated to be built and the manufacturing to start. And so, like I said, you know, that's where I see the opportunity with this stock. And so DCAing into this stock, dollar cost averaging into this stock, and reinvesting all dividends, you know, in line for this kind of 2-year period where we're going to potentially see the expansion strategy come into fruition, is where the opportunity is that I see with this stock at the moment. And in this time, they're going to be expanding worldwide, building critical chips essential for this AI revolution, cementing its moat and underlining its importance as this backbone, this infrastructure, this critical infrastructure that they're providing for AI. But look, that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.